Here's something that sounds completely wrong. A 25-year-old investing half as much money can retire richer than someone investing double, not slightly richer, hundreds of thousands of dollars richer. And the reason why breaks almost every instinct your brain has about money. Imagine two people. Same dream, same goal. Both want to become millionaires. Person A starts investing $500 a month at age 25. Person B waits 5 years, then invests $1,000 a month instead. Double the money, double the effort. Trying to catch up seems reasonable, right? But here's the part that feels impossible. Person A still wins. By a lot. How? How can investing less money create more wealth? Nothing to do with finding the next Tesla or Bitcoin. It comes down to one force, a force so powerful that Einstein supposedly called it the eighth wonder of the world. Compound interest. And once you truly understand how it works, you will never look at money the same way again. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Human beings are terrible at understanding exponential growth. Our brains are built for straight lines. If you earn $10 an hour, work 2 hours, make $20. Simple, predictable, linear. So naturally, we think investing works the same way. Save $100 a month for 10 years. That's $12,000. Makes sense. But if someone told you that same $100 a month could eventually turn into over $350,000, your brain resists it. It sounds fake, impossible, like some scammy finance guru fantasy, but it's real. And the reason most people miss it is because the most important part of compounding happens at the E&D, not the beginning. There's actually a psychological term for this: exponential growth bias. Studies show that when people estimate investment growth, most guess the linear answer, not the exponential one. Our brains literally underestimate curves, especially curves that start slow and then suddenly explode upward. That's why people look at investing $100 a month and think, what's the point? But that tiny amount, invested consistently, can become life-changing. Not because the monthly amount is huge, but because time quietly turns small things into massive things. Let's make this real. Imagine you invest $1,000. It earns 10% a year. After year 1, you have $1,100. Nothing exciting, but in year 2, you earn 10% on $1,100. Not the original $1,000. Now you have $1,210. Then year 3, 10% on $1,210. Then year 8, that money starts producing money. It's like planting a tree that grows branches that grow entire forests. Now let's scale this up. Say you invest just $100 a month into a broad index fund, the kind that tracks the overall market. Historically, these have returned somewhere around 8% a year over long periods. After 1 year, about $1,246. Nothing impressive. After 5 years, after 10 years, around $18,400. At this point, most people quit because the growth still feels invisible. But this is the exact moment where compounding starts loading the rocket fuel. After 20 years, almost $59,000. After 30 years, around $149,000. After 40 years, over $351,000 from $100 a month. Here's the number that should stop you cold. You personally contributed $48,000 of your own money over those 40 years, but you ended up with $351,000. That means the market gave you an extra $303,000 for free, just for leaving your money alone. Think about that. The market contributed over 6 times more money than you did. That's the power of compounding. But here's the part that really messes with people. From year 0 to year 20, you reached around $59,000. Not bad. But from year 20 to year 40, the same amount of time, your money exploded from $59,000 to over $351,000. Almost $300,000 of growth happened in just the second half of the timeline. That's the curve people fail to understand. Compounding feels slow until suddenly it feels unstoppable, like pushing a giant boulder uphill for years, only to eventually watch gravity take over. And this is why starting early matters more than starting big. Let's go back to our 2 investors. Person A starts at 25, invests $500 a month, average return 8%. By age 65, total invested $240,000. Final portfolio, approximately $1.75 million. Now person B waits until 30, then invests double, $1,000 every month, works harder, sacrifices more, pours in almost twice as much cash, total invested $420,000. Final portfolio, approximately $1.9 million. Wait, person B actually ends up with more. Almost. But look at the cost. Person B put in $420,000 of their own money. Person A put in only $240,000. Person B worked harder, sacrificed more, invested nearly twice as much, and ended up in basically the same place. Now watch what happens if person B waits until 35. Still investing $1,000 a month. Still going until 65. Total invested $360,000. Final portfolio, approximately $1.36 million. They invested more money than person A and still ended up with LESS wealth. Just 5 years of delay, cost nearly $400,000. That's a house, years of freedom, possibly decades of stress, gone. Not because they were stupid, not because they failed, because time matters more than effort. And here's the deeper problem nobody talks about. Most people don't avoid investing because they're lazy. They avoid it because the future doesn't feel emotionally real. Psychologists call this the future self problem. Brain scan studies found that when people imagine their future selves, their brains respond almost the same way as when thinking about a stranger. A stranger. That's why buying something today feels emotionally powerful, while retirement feels abstract, distant, unreal. Your brain treats future you like somebody else's problem. But there's a mental shift that changes everything. Every dollar you invest is an employee, a tiny worker you hire. That worker never sleeps, never complains, never asks for a vacation. It just quietly works for you. Every hour, every day, every year. And over time, those workers start hiring more workers. Then those workers hire even more workers. That's compounding. An army being built silently in the background of your life. And every month you delay investing, you're not just missing a deposit. You're stopping new workers from ever existing. So what do you actually do with this? First, start now. Not when you feel ready. Not after your next raise. Not when life becomes stable. Now. Because there is no version of math where waiting helps. Every month of delay shrinks the curve. Second, be consistent. The people who build wealth are usually not investment geniuses. They're the people who didn't panic during crashes, didn't quit during boring years, didn't stop when progress looked invisible. The secret isn't picking the right stock. It's staying in long enough for the curve to kick in. Third, automate it. Make investing automatic so your brain never has to choose between $100 for tonight and $100 for your 65-year-old self. When it's automatic, the future version of you gets paid first. And finally, understand this. The beginning of compounding feels unbelievably disappointing. For years, the numbers barely move. You'll look at your account and think, that's it. Your brain will tell you, this isn't working. But that's because your brain expects straight lines. Compounding is not a straight line. It's a curve that stays almost flat, right before it becomes vertical. There's an old story about a king and a chessboard. The inventor of chess asked for a strange reward. 1 grain of rice on the first square, then double it for every square after that. The king laughed. It seemed tiny, meaningless. But by the final square, the total became over 18 quintillion grains of rice, more than humanity has ever produced. That's what exponential growth does. It starts looking harmless. Then it becomes unimaginable. Right now, you might not have $1,000 a month to invest. Maybe not even $500, but you can probably find $50, maybe $100. And that humble, quiet, seemingly insignificant $100, invested consistently, has the potential to become something that changes your life. Not because you got lucky, not because you picked the perfect stock, but because you started and you stayed. The question isn't whether $100 a month can make you wealthy. The math already answered that. And the terrifying thing about compounding is that it works whether you participate or not. Time is always compounding something, either your investments or your regret. The math already made its decision. The only question left is when you start.